And I'm not making friends to heal the little girl that didn't grow up with good friendships. I'm not making friends to heal the little girl, the teenager slash adult, young adult who was betrayed by a close friend. I'm one of those people. You can have me as anything you want to have me as, girl. Like, if you want me to show up to little Galentine's, I can do that. If you want me to study with you, I can do that. If you want me to party with you, I can do that. If you want me to go to the gym with you, I can do that. If you want me to go to church with you, I can do that. Because those are all the things that I do. And so it's always hard for me to think that, dang, maybe you can't really have one person who is multifaceted in that way. It's time for me to just enjoy people without it being so heavy. And I'm gonna pour some wine. Also, welcome to my channel. I'm gonna pour some wine and I wanna sit down and have a real conversation with y'all on why it's been so hard for me to have friends in my 20s and just majority of my life. I'm also gonna be taking my hair down, which I've never thought in a million years I would do online, because I know when I take these down, my Meek Mill braids be braiding, child. They be braiding. But we're gonna do it anyways. So if you wanna continue watching this video, just know I'm sipping wine, getting out my sewing, and talking about something that I've been reflecting on a lot, which is why I've had a hard time making friends and keeping them. I'm sharing this because I know that I can't be the only one. I got this. It's like a dermaplaning razor. I'm gonna use that to kind of just take out my hair, honestly. And I got a bunch of clips that I'll be using. I think I have scissors, like hair scissors. I should have hair scissors. I do. Now where do we begin? I think the first time that I experienced friendship betrayal was probably in middle school. Honestly, middle school is like the year that like you figuring yourself out, like whether you identify with school, whether you identify with success, whatever. Like middle school is your make it or break it years, in my opinion, which is why I feel like when it comes to policies and youth justice, any type of youth advocacy programs, it should focus on middle school students and make their way up until high school, but middle school for sure. And obviously when it comes to these type of programs, there should be some connection with the family. You can work directly with the child, but at the end of the day, if they have to go back home to a mother who's struggling, let's say like to pay bills, or just struggling, or father, single parent, whatever household structure they have, it still is not going to make a difference. If their environment is, it's not going to make a difference. So let's just put that out there. I used to roll with a clique. Yes, I know, so surprising. When I was younger, I used to roll with a clique. It was about 7 of us girlies, and we used to all just really hang out together. I don't think that we had any similar interests, honestly, because I just don't think that's something that we had. But I knew that one of the things that we bonded over was that it was kind of just, I don't know, just kind of cool to hang out with them. Majority of them, if not all of them, a lot of them were Caribbean and West Indian. So I love that culture already because I used to grow up in the Bronx. So I love that culture. I love the music. I love the food. So I think I just really clicked to them. It was 7 of us. Keep the camera rolling, baby. And we were all just, I think, navigating life in the Bronx. Like, so you had some of us who were like, grew up in two-family homes or grew up with a mother who like was struggling. It was just a lot of, I want to say chaos growing in the Bronx, but it was kind of a little chaotic. Like some of us, and I'm using us because I would hate to just single people out because these are people that I hang out with. Just know that like I'm not necessarily talking about myself in a sense. Just want to put that out there. Some of them were just like kind of grew up pretty fast, so like they were already interested in like boys. Some of them had already started having sex. Some of them had already like started doing other things. And so it was really like fast-paced young girls figuring life out, being convinced by men, whatever the case may be. But what drew me into them, like I said before, is that they was just fun. And I hate to call myself different in a sense, but in a sense I was, because I was the only one in the smart class. Well, I was in the accelerated class, so I was taking like high school regents in middle school. I took an integrated algebra, I took geometry, and I took living environment, in which I passed all the regents and was able to get high school. I was one of 2 black girls in that classroom. The rest was filled with like Indians, South Asians, Albanians. That's pretty much it for the most part. When we had problems, I think the problems that we had, we really kind of went about it in a group. So like, if such and such has a problem with such and such, like we handle it, we deal with it and keep it pushing. But towards the end of that friendship, it felt like there was groups and cliques within the group. You know what I mean? Which is why I'm definitely not attracted to cliques now. And you would never see me with a group of like people who know each other. Now, there's a reason why I'm talking about this, because I'm talking about how information passes along through a group. So I was going through something in my house, personal. I'm not going to talk about it here. I'm not going to talk about it now. But it was something serious that I think put me in a state of like, not depression, because I don't want to label the young part of me. I think I was confused. I was hurt. And I just wasn't really happy with what was going on in my household. And I had a friend within the group who I thought, you know, we were pretty close, or we were the closest, or we were getting there out of everyone in the group. And she basically, I told her in confidence. My mom always told me, like growing up, just to keep secrets. Anything family related, anything personal, anything in the household stays in the household. We're not going to talk about how that passes on generational trauma and how that is completely toxic. That's a different story. But that was one of the things I was taught, and I didn't have nobody to talk to about whatever I was going through. So I really looked to this girl like as an opportunity. Okay, well maybe I could share some of my business with her. And I did. I told her what was going on in my household, and I trusted that like she would be caring, she would understand me a little bit better. And then it felt good to be able to, I want to say, talk to someone about what I was going through. She ended up telling my business to the rest of the group. And from there, people in the school knew about what I was going through. Even though it seemed like just a rumor, because you could never tell what I was going through, because I never looked like what I've been through, even to this day. You know what I mean? So sometimes even if I have like an outburst, people just think, oh, she's just mad or whatever the case may be, but you would never pinpoint exactly what type of stuff I was going through in the house. And that's how I like to keep it. Like, I still was doing great in school, whatever. But that slowly became a rumor about me. From then on, I just knew that like I cannot trust these people. And on top of that, if y'all talk about each other to me, how do I know y'all not talking about me? And then telling my business was like the sole, like it was obvious that these were not my real friends and that I could not trust them, because no one, even in the clique, after knowing the rumor or what they believed to be true, no one checked in on me, right? Like, if you hear these terrible things that's happening on with your friends, why aren't you checking in? So that was the start of me, like, deciding from then on out that I was not going to be hanging out in no cliques. Like, these clique stuff doesn't work for me. Like, everyone talks about each other. It's not a safe space for me. And so you never see me in cliques again. And I think around that time, I also just shut down and just started to actually keep secrets. And so I was harboring a lot of feelings, a lot of resentment for women in general. And I kind of just stayed away. So by the time I went to high school, I didn't really have too much friends. I was always that person who was smart, who was a little hood, you know what I mean? But also like a scholar, somebody who was creative, somebody who was like kind of like the full package, so to speak. And so I hung out with different people. I never hung out in cliques, but I was always cool with the nerds. I was cool with the jocks, whatever you want to call them these days. I was cool with everyone. And it's so funny because my friends or my homeboys from New York came to Houston this weekend, and you know, they were like kind of more on the nerdy side, I would say, but they described me as being popular, and I'm just like, popular? I didn't get like popular vibes to me. Like, I never thought I was popular, and plus I was always in a relationship in high school, so I definitely didn't feel like I was known outside of my relationship. But hey, everybody's perspective of you is different. You could be a villain in somebody's story. I thought that the first betrayal in middle school taught me everything that I needed to know about trust, about friendships, but it obviously didn't. There's plenty of more learning that I had to do. And we talked about this briefly. Well, actually, I made a whole story time about my best friend sleeping with my dad. But I think the way that betrayal played out for me was it was disheartening for sure, because in many ways it felt like, and I'm not gonna go into too much detail. If you want to watch the full story on that, please just go to the video and watch along. But it felt like to me that she was playing a role of sister to get close to me. For what purposes, I don't know. But she was always secretive with me, right? So it's like I could tell her a bunch of business about who I'm dating, and obviously she couldn't tell me who she was dating because she was, at the time, dating my dad. Sips wine. And I think one of the lessons that I learned from that in general was to just like pay attention, right? You have to, the onus is still on, here it goes. The onus is still on you to be aware. Like, you have to be aware of, one, how people respond to you, and two, like, what information are people telling you? And it's not to keep score, because I really hate that. And I would hate for someone to live their life like, oh, can't tell you this because you ain't tell me that, or I can't do this because you ain't do that. I would hate for anyone to live their life like that. But in all honesty, you have to just be more aware of people's intentions in your life. This secrecy stuff that people do, like in friendships. One, I mean, learning from experience, it could be because they're genuinely scared to tell you their business. Two, they're ashamed of the things that they went through. Or in the case where I had that best friend who slept with my dad, they're just being sneaky and doing stuff essentially behind your back. And so as I got to high school, you know, I was in a relationship, like I said, for the majority of high school, so I didn't really make friends. That friend that I had was, you know, older than me before, and, you know, obviously I expressed the situation that happened. So, ooh, hopefully that was a shrink. Okay, yes it was. That's basically where that went. So high school, I don't really have any friends I held on to. I've been cool with so many people, but not actual. The coolness has been, and it still remains, because anyone can hit me up from like high school and just be like, oh hey, what's up, like, but it's never like, oh hey, let's grab dinner and let's chit chat, let's do this, let's do that. I don't know. It's never been one of those. It's never been like, hey, how you doing? I'm just calling to check up on you to see how is your day going. I just never really had those type of friendships. And it hurt me for a while. As I got older, I just was more cautious, you know. I just stopped trusting people, telling people my business, and I kind of was one of those girls who, I know y'all hate to hear it, but I bond with more men than women. I like having more male friends than women friends. And I get it. If you've been betrayed by women, friendships, or even a parent, your mother, friendships with the same sex could feel a bit daunting. And I did have another friendship when I was in New York, and me and her were really, really, really cool with each other. But I think what made me outgrow the friendship was the fact that she only showed up one way for me. And I know that sounds odd, like, oh, at least she showed up in a way, but she only showed up in one way. I felt used because of the connections that I had and not because she genuinely wanted to be my friend. Like, if I'm like, hey girl, so-and-so invited us to the bar, like, let's kick it, like, blah, blah, free drinks. What's up? What's tea? She was there in a blink of an eye. In a blink of a big lash eye. Like, she was there almost immediately. No pause, no thought about it. She was there. Y'all know me. I'm a cafe girly. I love a good cafe. Before I was going to actual cafes, I was a Starbucks girly. I was sitting in Starbucks for hours, doing scholarships, doing journaling, just living for the Starbucks, goal writing. I love sitting in cafes and just thinking. That's me. And I had invited her to several sessions that I was having in hopes that, like, because sometimes it just feels good to think amongst people who's also thinking. Like, be amongst people who's also working on things. I knew that she wanted to go back to school, and I was trying to apply to scholarships while I was in graduate school so that, you know, obviously I can make more money. And I can get more money and I don't have to pay off everything. But she would never show up. Like, never show up. And then when she did show up, she would not do like the same thing. She would just kind of be there, kind of say, oh no, I'm just doing another time. And then I find out, you applying to scholarships, you doing this. You know them people who be like, oh no, I'm not going to study for this test. And then you just, oh shit, like, shit, me either, like, whatever you do. And then later on they get an A. You found out that they studied and all of these other things. Like, that's the type of person she was, where like she ended up getting one of those scholarships because she was like working on her own time. I don't know, like, if I held too much weight. My father, and he always taught me that, like, you gotta just have categories of friends. Like, maybe you just have a friend for this, or you have a friend for that. And I don't know, I feel like I am a multifaceted person, and I'm one of those people. You can have me as anything you want to have me as, girl. Like, if you want me to show up to little Galentine's, I can do that. If you want me to study with you, I can do that. If you want me to party with you, I can do that. If you want me to go to the gym with you, I can do that. If you want me to go to church with you, I can do that. Because those are all the things that I do. And so it's always hard for me to think that, dang, maybe you can't really have one person who is multifaceted in that way. And it doesn't seem like it's a hard thing to ask, because it's just like, girl, same. Like, I can do it too. That's just something that I had to learn. And now, more recently, I'm living in a new city where I don't have like a ton of friends. I'm meeting people, but I'm still building those friendships. And more recently, what I have done is gotten a therapist. We're restarting therapy. I'm super excited about that. But one of the conversations that we were having was about friendships. A therapist, one of the things that we're going to be working on is, how do I build and heal my bond with women and make friends? And one of the things that she told me, which I feel like is super important, so I wrote it down, a couple quotes. She said that you can't build friendships when you're in survival mode and it isn't supposed to feel like another job, it's okay to just enjoy people. She told me that I should just be able to shoot the shit. First of all, my therapist cursed, honey, and I am living for it. And I never really even used that phrase, shoot the shit, but for context, what she was basically telling me was, it's okay to have basic conversation with people. Like the what you doing and the how's your day going and blah blah blah, like those conversations I could have. I'm so used to, my issue has been that I've been so used to being a caregiver in a lot of my situations and a lot of my friendships, a lot of my whatever, my relationship to my mom, like caregiver. What can I do for you? How can I best show up for you? How can I help you out? And it's time for me to just enjoy people without it being so heavy, and understand that not everybody wants something from me. But one of the things that I realized too is just that, like, if I have to shrink myself in any friendship, like if I can't talk about big goals that I might think about or have, then I don't think I could possibly be friends with this person. Or I might have to recategorize them as the not so serious friend and be okay with it. And today, in my late 20s, I want friendships based on alignment, not just history. At this point, history doesn't matter anymore. How are we aligned today as friends? You cannot pour into other people when your own cup isn't full. And I think it was Oprah who said that you have to pour from an overflowing cup. People should never get any part of your cup. What they get is your overflow. And I definitely believe and agree with that. I can't believe I'm actually taking out my weave. Like, I'm so happy for myself. Like, this is insane. And I'm doing it in such a short period. Like, I'm flying through this. I am flying through this takedown, and I barely use the scissors. So today, I am open to meeting people, but I understand that not everyone is who they say they are. And sometimes I just have to vet people. But I'm not making friends to tell them my life story. And I'm not making friends to heal the little girl that didn't grow up with like sound and good friendships. I'm not making friends to heal the little girl, the teenager / adult, young adult, who was betrayed by a close friend. I'm not doing that. It's not meant for that. If you want to talk about your traumas, I feel like we should all just stick to a therapist unless you feel comfortable and confident in what you're saying to these certain people. That's the advice I'm going to give. But other than that, I'm open to enjoying life. I'm not in survival mode anymore, although I am working on being the best version of myself. I'm not in survival mode no more. I don't need to fill in those gaps. I just want to be. I think that's what it is. I just want to be and live. When I say be, I'm not talking about just like, oh, like I'm accepting whatever comes my way. Like, that's not what I'm saying at all. I used to think that friendships were all or nothing. But now I know it's about finding people who meet you where you are and vice versa. Oh, I'm free! I can't change the past, but I can definitely change how I show up now in the future. I am smarter, I'm more wise, and I understand that not everybody is the same. Not everybody is going to treat you the same. Not everyone's going to betray you. Not everyone is bitch. The version of me that struggled with friendships got me here today. She's not the one who's leading me forward. I gotta take the rest of this hair out, y'all. So thank you for enjoying this sipping, sewing takedown with me. I appreciate you all for watching my videos. And I hope that in this video, you recognize that just because you have bad friendships doesn't necessarily mean that you're the problem. And just because you have great friendships doesn't mean that you don't have a problem. Do what works for you. Be around people who love on you and reciprocate. And that's all I'm gonna say. So Houston 2025, I am open. I'm open and willing to make new friends on this journey. So let's cheers to that, and cheers to being the best versions of ourselves this year and many years to come.